First question is from Sally Spicer. What's the best way to train for pull-ups? I'd really like to be able to do a few without having to use an assisted pull-up machine, but don't know how to get there.
Yeah, so the advice I'm going to give right now for getting better at pull-ups is applicable to any single movement or exercise that you really want to focus on and improve upon. So the old thought process was, well, I'm just going to make sure my back workouts that I do pull-ups first and that I progressively overload. So once or twice a week, I'm going to do pull-ups and that'll work a little bit, but it's not nearly as effective as what I'm about to say. Practice pull-ups often. And when I say practice, I don't mean work out. So I don't mean you go and do a bunch of pull-ups to fatigue and get sore. What I mean is literally every single day do a few pull-ups. So let's say you can max do 10 pull-ups. Let's say that's your total max amount of
Let's
pull-ups.
say even less than that. I think it's probably a lot of times people ask this question, you can only do like 3.
That's fine. So let's say you can only do 3 pull-ups. Well, 4 or 5 times every day, do 1.
Yeah.
That's it. Literally put up a pull-up bar in your doorway and do 1 pull-up and then go about your day. And then a few hours later, do it. And so you're practicing constantly this kind of lower to moderate intensity activity. And what you'll find when you do this is you get really good, really strong, really fast. I've done nothing more effective than this.
Well, I'll add one more thing to that it kind of blew my mind when I started to do this later on. I never thought so. When I wanted to get better at pull-ups in the past, I used to do this thing where I started every workout with pull-ups, and I would just try and get as many as I could, and I just keep trying to add to that, right, and increase the frequency of how often. So it was like every start of every workout. That was a strategy. I never thought to do this, especially when I was only able to do 3 to 5 pull-ups, to load that. Mm-hmm. I thought, I'm only doing 3 to 5. My goal is to get to 10 or 20 or 30. Why would I load 3? Yeah. Then what? So I can only do 1. But boy, does that! I tell you what, if you can do 3 pull-ups, just your body weight, but you can do maybe 1 loaded with 25 pounds or more. Practicing with that every now and then, if you complement that to your increased frequency. So if in a perfect world, their main goal is to get better at pull-ups, the first advice I'm giving is exactly what you said. Get a pull-up bar in your house. Every time you walk by the pull-up bar, jump up, do a few less than what your total max normally is, and do that multiple times per day, every single day.
And it's not a workout. You're practicing.
No, that's it. That's all you're doing. You jump up. If you're, like you said, if your max is 3 to 5, you jump up, you do 2 real quick, walk away. Right. Come back an hour later, do it again, and just do that all the time, right? That's one piece. And then the other piece would be when you go into the gym and maybe it's back day and you're actually training your back, I would actually start it with pull-ups and I would do it weighted. I'd do it weighted. And if you can only do 1, it's okay. Do 1, rest for a solid 2 minutes or whatever, jump up, do another single like that, and get really strong with resistance on those pull-ups, and then cut the resistance after you've been doing that for a month or 2 and see what happens.
Yeah, now it's a little difficult if you can't even do 1 pull-up, because I do think that those are very, applicable advice in terms of like frequency. But if they do have access to one of those machines where they can actually get assistance, that would help in terms of like, you still want to add the frequency. So whatever you can do with like a bare minimum amount of assistance, get a few reps, but do it, consistently throughout the week. So that's something that you're teaching your body to get better at, and you're gradually, bringing that pin up. So you do less and less, of that assistance help. And also rubber bands.
I would say bands are great
for that as well.
So here's something I did. I had a client, a female client, very athletic. She never really did resistance training, but played a lot of sports. And then she said to me, when she hired me, I really want to be able to do at least 6 pull-ups. That was her goal. And at the moment, she couldn't even do 1 body weight pull-up. Now, she had big muscular legs, so she was like, she had a decent amount of weight on her, lean, but still, it was challenging for her. So here's what we did, is I had her put a band around, I had her get a pull-up bar, put it in one of her doorways. She put a band around it so she could step on the band. It would assist her doing the pull-up. And then I told her to do 1 pull-up several times a day, every single day. And she said, well, what if I feel like I could do much more? What if I get stronger? I said, every week we'll reevaluate and add more, but I want you to start with 1. I don't care how easy it feels. Mm-hmm. All week you're only doing 1. The next week, so in other words, I didn't allow her to progressively overload until a whole week passed. Why? Because the frequency was so high that it would have been very easy for her to overdo it. Right. So all she was doing was just practicing 1 with this band. And then the next week we reevaluated, and then I gave her a lighter band. I think it was like, no joke, I'm not making this up, I think it was like 30 or 45 days later, she was able to do 5 or 6 pull-ups, not even be able to do one. So that's a huge, very fast progression. But the key is low intensity, practice, don't work out, and then don't progressively overload for a little while. Get really good at this easy practice for a week or two, then add a little bit of load, and then continue that frequency. You could do this with any exercise, by the way. Let's say you wanted to get really good at barbell squats. If you had a cage in your garage and you did the same thing, you went out there, did a couple reps, 3 or 4 times every single day, low intensity, your strength would explode on that as well. It's a really, really good technique for improving strength quickly.
Yeah, your body gets real good at it at a certain point.